UFC Mexico City takes place this weekend, and in this video, I'm going to be giving you my exact predictions for how I think every fight in the card is going to play out. So without further ado, let's get into the picks. First off, I do want to say that this entire card is chalk heavy with favorites top to bottom. It's nearly impossible to find an underdog selection that I am in love with, but I have found a couple spots that I really like. So let's dive into the picks. First fight we're discussing is Erik Silva taking on Francis Marshall, and in this one, Francis Marshall is going to be 12 years younger. Erik Silva comes from a karate background, and if you watch the guy fight, the way he avoids takedowns is by pulling guillotine. So if his strategy against Francis Marshall is to pull guillotine to avoid the takedown, he's probably going to get taken down with ease. And honestly, Francis Marshall might go back to his roots and start finishing people again. This is the perfect setup fight for Francis Marshall to find a finish, and he's landed a takedown in 5 of his 6 UFC fights. So I expect on the feet, Francis Marshall will be fine, and if he decides to shoot for a takedown, I think he will find the sub on Erik Silva. So I'm going with Francis Marshall to win this fight by submission. Next fight we're talking about is Jose Medina taking on Ryan Gandra, and there's simply no chance you're going to catch me picking or betting on Jose Medina. The guy's 0-4 in the UFC. He got a contract by losing on the Contender Series, but because he lost in a funny manner, because he was going, they gave him a contract. Now they're giving him Ryan Gandra, who just slept his Dana White's Contender Series foe last season. I expect Ryan Gandra to go out there and just start swinging wildly, and I'm not sure how Jose Medina is going to deal with that. So I'm going with Ryan Gandra to win this fight by round 1 KO. Next fight we're breaking down is Imanol Rodriguez taking on Kevin Borjas, and in this one, I just think Imanol Rodriguez is going to march forward, start firing wildly, and land something big on Kevin Borjas. I mean, I would have some faith in Borjas if he didn't just fight Sumerdarji and look like a complete NPC can. He just stood there in front of Sumerdarji and just let Sumerdarji crack him at range for 3 rounds. He didn't even initiate a takedown. He barely landed 20 significant strikes. Kevin Borjas, I think, is just going to be in the spot to get knocked out by Imanol. All of his wins have been in the first or second round. Imanol has been training with DC. Imanol even got a sneaky submission win on The Ultimate Fighter. So I think Imanol can win this by any way necessary. I think he's a great parlay piece this week. I'm going with Imanol Rodriguez to win this fight by round 1 knockout. Next fight we're breaking down is Santiago Luna taking on Angel Pacheco. And in this one, Angel Pacheco, if there's one thing we can say about him, is that he's a volume machine. He will move forward and he will throw lots of strikes. Also, he's kind of durable. I mean, he got 200 strikes landed on him by Danny Silva in Contender Series and didn't get KO'd. He got over 100 significant strikes landed on him by Colin Lochran and didn't get KO'd. Santiago Luna, I think, will have a lot of success on the feet. I don't think Angel Pacheco has much power in his strikes. I think Luna, if he wants to shoot for takedowns, he will have success doing so. Luna has never been to the scorecards, but if there were to be a fighter that would bring him to the scorecards, it would be Angel Pacheco because he has yet to be finished. So I'm going with Santiago Luna to win this fight by decision. I just don't see Angel Pacheco getting finished, and the age gap is pretty wide. I believe it's 13 years? Luna's 13 years younger than this guy. That's a reoccurring theme on this card. We'll get into it later, but yeah, Luna should win this one, and a lot of people might say finish because he's never been to decision, but I'm going with decision. It seems like the perfect matchup to do so. Next fight we're breaking down is Marlon Vera taking on David Martinez. This is the co-main event of the card, and I just don't see a scenario where Marlon Vera wins. David Martinez is coming off a decision victory against Rob Font in a fight where he nearly KO'd Rob Font in the 3rd round. A lot of people say that maybe Marlon Vera can win a decision here because David Martinez mainly is a finisher. 10 of his wins are by KO. But Marlon Vera is 5-11 to the decision, guys. Like, how does Chito Vera win this fight? He's not going to out-volume David. He has to land something big on David, and that guy's got a Mexican chin, Mexican durability. I don't see it happening. The betting line, I think, is good for a parlay on David Martinez, but you'd be betting on someone that you think is going to win by decision, someone with no finishing upside, and that usually is a bad bet. However, I'm still going with David Martinez to win this fight by decision. Next fight we're breaking down is Macy Chiasson taking on Ailin Perez, and in this one, Ailin Perez is going to have a field day with takedowns. If there's one thing about Macy Chiasson's game that there's a giant hole, it's the takedowns, and Ailin Perez, that's all she's going to do is shoot for takedowns. I also have been impressed lately with Ailin Perez's stand-up game. Against Carol Rosa, even when she wasn't taking her down, she was still winning the striking exchanges, and against Jocelyn Edwards, she actually knocked her down with a spinning back fist, which that win is aging quite beautifully because Jocelyn Edwards is on a 4-fight finish streak. So I really like Ailin Perez here. I am concerned it is in UFC Mexico City, so it could be high elevation, and Perez is a takedown artist, so she could gas out earlier than usual if she continuously grapples. But I think if she keeps it standing, she actually will win the striking exchanges as well. I just can't trust Macy Chiasson at this point in her career. Losing that decision to Yana Santos was unforgivable. I mean, Yana Santos does not shoot takedowns. Macy Chiasson should have won that fight based on volume, based on shooting takedowns, but she found a way to lose. And I think she's going to find a way to lose this one. So I'm going with Ailin Perez to win this by decision. I'm not saying by submission because Chiasson has gone against better grapplers than Perez and has survived the submission. So I think Perez wins the decision here. Next fight we're breaking down is Douglas Silva de Andrade taking on Javier Reyes. And in this one, I can most definitely see a Douglas Silva crafty vet performance victory. However, I don't know if I can trust that, all right? I watched back his recent fights. The guy doesn't really throw with any volume. He kind of just stands there very muscularly, very bald. He looks like a giant bowling ball with fists. And he's just standing there waiting to get hit, waiting to land his big shot. Now, Javier Reyes, is he a volume monster? Not really. But Javier Reyes, if you look over his resume, you would think the guy is mainly a grappler, but then you watch his Contender Series fight, he goes out there and knocks out Justice Torres in the first round. So Javier Reyes, I think, has improved leaps and bounds in his striking game. I think Douglas Silva will maybe have the edge in the striking if he fires off his leg kicks. I think this fight plays out super close. I'm not anticipating a Javier Reyes finish. I think this fight goes to decision at a very high clip. And if you're going to take the UFC veteran to win a crafty vet performance, this would be the fight to do so. However, I just can't trust Douglas Silva at this point. I mean, he's getting older by the day. He's 8 years older than Javier Reyes in this matchup. Javier Reyes making his debut on the UFC Mexico card. You know, it is an elevation. Both guys can gas out. Maybe Douglas is not a bad dog shot, but I'm going with Javier Reyes to win this fight by decision. I just think he has more paths to win. If he mixes in takedowns, he can win. If he keeps it at range and doesn't just get clipped with some type of head kick from Silva, he should win. And if he doesn't get his legs chopped down like a cherry tree, he should also win. So, Javier Reyes it is. Next fight we're breaking down is Cristian Quinonez taking on Kris Moutinho. And in this one, I just, there's no world where I'll ever be picking or putting my money on Kris Moutinho. Even when he fought Guido Quinetti, he was the favorite. And I even picked Guido Quinetti in that one because there's no way I can trust Kris Moutinho. In theory, he's a good fighter. In theory, you watch this guy before he gets cracked, he is showing some good striking. All right, he can mix in some takedowns. But honestly, once he does get cracked, he just goes to sleep. Ever since that Sean O'Malley fight, he took way too much damage. I think his brain is now in a mode where if it gets hit at all, it just shuts off. So, Cristian Quinonez, this is a setup fight. It is in Mexico. He's a Mexican. He's minus 700 for a reason. They think he's just going to go out there and sleep Moutinho in the first round. Now, there is a chance Moutinho activates the grappling and maybe has success there because Quinonez is coming off back-to-back rear naked choke losses. I just don't see it happening. I'm going with Quinonez to win this one by first round knockout. Before we go any further, I would like to recap last week. So at UFC Houston, our picks were not the best. We went 8-6. However, we did have some good underdog callouts. Sean Strickland KO. I said round 4. It happened in round 3. That's pretty goated. Euros Medic round 1 KO. That was a pretty goated take as well. But then, as you can see, there was a string of losses where I just was getting very down bad. Anthony D'Elia wasn't sure how he would lose that fight. Turns out he loses the fight. I didn't think Spivak had any chance, but it is what it is. Josiah Harrell, I gave way too much stock because he's 11-0, gets slept in the first round. Zach Reese, I think he actually won that fight, so don't hate that pick. And Chidi Njokuani, he doesn't take damage well. I think that's something we have to keep in mind moving forward. If he's fighting someone with power, he might just lose a decision because the way he accepts the punches, he just gets rocked and wobbled nearly every exchange. And there's just no way he can ever win a decision against a power puncher. We also had Ramiz Brahimaj Another sheepish pick. I thought he actually won that fight. Just me. I know that might be Cope, but it was razor close, so I don't hate my pick there. And then also, the fraud check of the year, Yadier Devay. Good lord. What a performance. Loses 30-27. I'm never... A minus 500 losing 30-27 is insane. So, that's how we did on the picks. And as for the wagers, yet again, we were down 0.92 units. 4 straight weeks of just down. I mean, we're down a unit, down 4, down a unit, down 4. If you look at the wagers, we kind of came alive at the end. We had Medic and Strickland. We had 2 units on Strickland, so that was a nice take. But Del Val in a 3.2 unit parlay, that is ultimately what sunk the ship last week. So hopefully this week we can find some better spots. It's going to be hard. The entire card is chalky. If you're watching this so far, you will realize that, yeah, it's chalky. And it's hard to find stuff, but we will find the stuff. Next fight we're breaking down is Ernesta Kareckaite taking on Regina Tarin. Ernesta Kareckaite is going to be much taller, much longer in this matchup. Also, she's been on a full fight camp preparing for Sofia Montenegro, who was someone that was just going to move forward and strike with her. Regina Tarin, on the other hand, is someone that's going to move forward and actually shoot for takedowns, actually initiate the clinch. Regina Tarin also had a fight scheduled for this weekend. So yes, she is taking this on short notice, but she was already supposed to fight, so she has had a full fight camp for this fight. Regina Tarin is also Mexican, fighting in Mexico City, going against someone that is a split decision merchant. Ernesta Kareckaite is 6-1-1. She has a draw on her resume, multiple split decisions, and her only loss should have actually been a split decision win for her. So Ernesta Kareckaite continuously gets into razor-close fights that are decided on the thinnest of margins. Regina Tarin is going to win this fight in the clinch and on the ground. Ernesta will probably win this fight at range in the striking. I think Regina Tarin can also win this fight in the striking low-key. So a lot of paths to victory available for Regina in this one. I am fearful that she might gas out because she's taking this fight on 3 days' notice. But like I said, she is on a full fight camp. Regina has 6 wins by finish and 1 by decision. And in the decision win, she nearly got an armbar victory in the first round. So going against someone like Ernesta, I think she will find success in the grappling. I think she will find success in the clinch. Ernesta potentially can show her levels, but at the end of the day, Ernesta has 8 pro fights. Regina has 7. So what levels is she really going to show her? I don't really understand that point. So I'm going with Regina Tarin to win this fight by decision. I'm anticipating that she's going to be an underdog. I'm very interested to see what the line drops as because I don't think Ernesta's finding the KO against Regina. Regina has shown good durability, so I'm taking Regina. Next fight we're breaking down is Wes Schultz taking on Damian Pinas. Damian Pinas, he is a BJJ blue belt, which means that his grappling is not high level whatsoever. Wes Schultz is a certified black belt. He's been training at Pura Vida BJJ for a very long while. Wes Schultz also, I feel like he has the better level of competition on his resume. He did lose to Mansour Abdul-Malik, but if you watch that fight back, he was kind of battering Mansour. He was taking him down at will. He was battering him on the ground. He kind of just death-gassed in the middle of round 2, which led to Mansour just landing vicious ground and pound. Is he going to death-gas against Damian Pinas? The thing is, Damian Pinas has never seen round 3, so there's a really good chance that Damian Pinas himself can gas out in this matchup. I'm seeing everyone saying, oh, if Schultz goes for takedowns, he's going to gas out. Well, Pinas has never seen a round 3, so what makes us think that he won't gas out? Damian Pinas, I think, will win this fight on the feet, but he's very reckless, very wild. Often when he fires recklessly, he gets taken down very easily. Also, Damian Pinas, one of his methods to defending a takedown is a guillotine. And if he tries to pull a guillotine against Wes Schultz, he's just going to land in bottom and get battered by Wes Schultz. And Wes Schultz is also coming off of a Suliev stretch submission victory. So this guy finds new ways to win. I like that for an underdog. I'm not super confident that if it hits round 3, Wes Schultz is going to look good whatsoever. But I'm also not confident Damian Pinas will look good in round 3. So for all those reasons, I think there's enough there where if it's on the feet early, Damian Pinas can win. But if as long as Schultz is shooting takedowns and just not entertaining the striking, I think he has a great path to win. So I'm going with Wes Schultz to win this fight by actual round 1 sub. Yeah, I'm taking the dog. Next fight we're breaking down is Edgar Chairez taking on Felipe Bunez. This matchup has been haunting me for the past however many weeks since it got announced, because usually I go against Edgar Chairez in all his fights, and usually I support Felipe Bunez in all his fights. So obviously that would lead me to think that I should be picking Felipe Bunez in this fight. But the more I break it down, the more I just don't know if I can fully get behind Felipe Bunez. At the end of the day, this guy Edgar Chairez nearly submitted Tatsuro Taira and didn't get submitted by Tatsuro Taira. So the fact that he survived Taira and also almost finished Taira is very impressive. Felipe Bunez, he is round 1 or bust. If Felipe Bunez doesn't find the sub in the first round, he's going to lose this fight, unfortunately. That's the way I see it happening. He will shoot for takedowns. I think he will have success because Chairez is a guillotine merchant. So I think round 1 can actually go to Felipe Bunez. But as the fight progresses, as it stays on the feet, I think Chairez is the way better striker. I think Chairez has some KO power in this matchup. Also, it's in Mexico City, high elevation. That does not help Bunez's case whatsoever as the fight progresses. So if Bunez does not find the round 1 sub, he's kind of like a Gabriel Miranda, kind of like a Simon Oliveira, where if he's not finding a finish in round 1, he's just going to wither away until he gets finished by Chairez. So for all those reasons, I know it's disappointing, it's sad, but I'm going with Edgar Chairez to win this fight by round 2 submission. Next fight we're breaking down is Daniel Zellhuber taking on Bobby King Green. Now, right off the bat, you might just automatically take King Green plus 375 because Zellhuber, number 1, has not been a proven finisher at the UFC level. Zellhuber, number 2, has sold as a big favorite in the past. He lost to Esteban Rivovic as a minus 200 favorite. He lost to Michael Johnson as a minus 700 favorite. And now he's minus 500 going against King Green, who isn't, that bad. So a lot of people are just taking King Green for those reasons. However, Zellhuber is going to be way taller, way longer, way younger. I think he's going to throw with similar volume to King Green. I think he can mix in takedowns, which King Green might not be ready for. Also, at this point in King Green's career, I'm just automatically taking the other fighter no matter what. I even took Lance Gibson Jr. in that last fight. But honestly, the only reason King Green won that fight is because Lance Gibson wasn't even throwing on the feet. He was kind of just being an NPC, standing there, shooting for bad takedowns. Zellhuber in Mexico is not going to do that. He just got a wake-up call by losing to Michael Johnson. I think he comes out here and actually tries to hunt for the finish. I think King Green's chin is also out the door at this point. So if he actually tries to finish King Green, I think he will. So I'm going with Daniel Zellhuber to win this fight by knockout. We haven't seen a Zellhuber knockout in quite some time, but this is the perfect setup fight for him to get one. So give me Zellhuber KO. And the sheep pick of the week. We are 2-2 scouting out the sheep pick of the week. Last week we were incorrect. We took Carlos Leal as the sheep pick. Chitty gets demolished for 3 rounds. We should have had Ante D'Elia as the sheep pick, because that was a fight where the odds were even and everyone was taking Ante, and Ante goes out there and just loses clean. So this week, the sheep pick is a fight that we have not broken down yet. So if you're picking up my drift, if you follow me on Twitter, you already know where this is going. The sheep pick this week is going to be Brandon Moreno as he goes up against Loner Kavanagh. Now, you might be saying, Finns, why on earth is Brandon Moreno a sheep pick? Well, let me explain to you this. So, Moreno is being picked by 86% of Tapology. So, you might think Brandon Moreno is Francis Ngannou. You might think he's just going to go out there and starch Loner Kavanagh. That's not the case. Brandon Moreno is not a high-level KO artist at the flyweight level whatsoever. So he's not going to do that. He's also not going to submit Loner Kavanagh. The last submission he has is what? Against Figgy in round 3, and they fought 4 times, and it took him 4 times to find the sub. I don't think he's submitting Loner Kavanagh either. When it comes to skill level, Loner Kavanagh low-key might have more skill than Brandon Moreno at this point in their careers. A lot of people are also picking Brandon Moreno because it feels right. It seems to be the right pick. Well, you know what also felt right? You know what also felt to be the right pick? Paddy Pimblett against Justin Gaethje. And look what happened. Justin Gaethje goes out there and styles on him for 5 rounds. Do I think that's going to play out like that in this fight? No. I think Loner Kavanagh is live to win the first 2 rounds. I think he can find the knockout on Moreno in the first 2. And as the fight progresses, sure, it'll edge towards Moreno because Kavanagh's cardio has been his biggest weakness so far. But if Lohner banks the first 2 rounds, and if Lohner isn't shooting for takedowns to gas himself out and he's actually having success on the feet, why can't Lohner win this fight? What, because it's in Mexico? Moreno has lost in Mexico by split decision as the favorite before. Yes, Lohner Kavanagh is semi-short notice. It is a tremendous step up in competition. We got the number of, 3 ranked flyweight fighting an unranked flyweight. It makes a lot of sense to take Moreno, but if you actually think about it, Lohner Kavanagh, I think, can match Moreno in the skill. I think he can be the better striker. I think he can mix his own takedowns as the fight goes on. One last thing, the betting line itself, it started at -175 for Moreno, gets all the way down to -250, and now it's kind of going back up -210. So people are starting to put money on Lohner. They think the price tag for Moreno is getting a little egregious for a guy that's not going to find a finish. So I'm going with Lohner Kavanagh to win this fight by decision. And my most confident takes of the card. If you've gotten this far in the video, congratulations. I appreciate you. I applaud you for being a Fins Chat supporter. These are my most confident takes. These I've been slapping at an extraordinarily high clip. So if you just straight bet each one, you will most likely make money. Let's get into it. First one is Francis Marshall, money line or sub. I think Francis Marshall, there's like literally 0% chance he loses this fight. And if you want to take a long shot prop, maybe take a sub if it's a good number. We also got Ailin Perez money line. I just think she's levels above Chiasson at this point in their respective careers. I just don't understand how Chiasson wins. Maybe she shoots her own takedowns, but she didn't do it against Yana Santos. Don't anticipate her doing it against Ailin Perez. We also got David Martinez money line. Don't see a scenario where Cheeto wins other than a fluke up the middle leg kick KO. There's just no shot. David Martinez has a win over Rob Font. That's good enough for me to think he'll beat anyone outside of the top 5. We're also going with Imanol Rodriguez money line. If you want to take it a step further, you could take his KO, but he has been training with DC. Wouldn't be surprised to see him employ some grappling. Love all these picks this week. And my sneaky takes, this is basically every underdog selection or long shot prop that I have talked about throughout the video. Let's get into it, starting with Wes Schultz moneyline, Wes Schultz sub. I just think he's the better grappler than Pinas. He's fought the better level of competition. If it gets into a grappling exchange, he should submit Pinas. We're also going with Regina Tarin moneyline. Funny, this fight got booked today, and I'm already confident enough to say that I think she wins. So, Regina Tarin by split decision. You heard it here first. We're also going with Bunez Chairez ends by sub. Listen, Bunez finds the round 1 sub, we win. Chairez finds the round 2 sub, we win. Chairez finds the round 3 sub, we win. I think this is a grappling match, and I think we see a finish. I'm going with Chairez by sub, but fight to end by sub is probably a better pick. We're also going with Lohner Kavanagh moneyline. Yep. So we basically have 2 definite underdogs picked on the whole card. The first fight of the night and the last fight of the night. And then we also have Regina Tarin. Not sure if she's a dog. I anticipate her being one. I like these props. I like these picks. Let me know in the comments who you got in the main event, Lohner or Moreno. Let me know in the comments what your favorite prop bet is this week. And I'll catch you Friday for the wagers video. Have a great rest of your day. You savage.